born here before, from religion, drugs, theology, and he comes from Preston. He also has a colourful military background, having served in the Rhodesian Light Infantry and as a mercenary soldier in South America. He is also highly proficient in Tai Chi and can use the Chi energy for healing and to break concrete path edges with his bare hands, as has been performed here at other venues. Tonight, Frank's focus is music and the human soul, and offers an insightful look at its many usages and influences. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Willis.
I enjoy coming here and talking, so it's a pleasure to come back again. And it's nice to see some new faces as well. Tonight's talk is music and the human soul, and how music affects us. Sorry? First thing I will go into is exactly what music is. Basically, physics tells us that everything in this world is on a vibrational level, and music is a vibration. Basically, music is a noise. Because it's on a vibration, it does affect us, and it affects us in very different ways. It also affects cultures different ways, which I will go into. Now, if I said to you, music can kill you, you're going to laugh. But if you think an opera singer can shatter a glass, what can other frequencies of sound or music do to you? And when I first said I'd do this talk, I started doing a bit of research into what sound is. And I uncovered quite a few interesting things. In 1957, there was a scientist called Vladimir Gorbachev, and he discovered that sound shattered the building he was working in, because the sound that he was emitting was below 30 hertz on a frequency range. More and more research went into that, and he discovered the lower the frequency, the more damage it can do to buildings. I once met a guy a few years back, Dean Warwick, at the Pro conference, and it was his theory that the Twin Towers were brought down by using sound. At that conference, he died, and straight away I thought he'd been shot, but soon realised he'd not been shot. And the way he died, officially it said he died of a heart attack. But the guy just fell over and he was dead. They tried resuscitating him. Briefly he was brought round, but he did die. That night, I rang up an arms dealer I know, and I said to him, is there a weapon available on the market that can kill somebody and it leave no physical trace? About an hour later he rang me back and he said, the Americans have a weapon, it'll cost you £10,000, but it'll kill you, not leave a trace, and it looks like you've had a heart attack. So this fascinated me, and the research I've uncovered, since Vladimir did his research, when into 1962 in Marseille, he developed a weapon which came about not through accident, but through what he was doing. But he didn't realise how powerful it was. And a lot of his workers were becoming ill. When the weapon was switched on, it brought buildings down. So he moved his research, and lo and behold, it went into America. Now there's places like Area 51, which are highly top secret. So nobody knows exactly where this development was taking place. But what we do know is that he developed a sound weapon that when it was switched on, brought down every building in a 7-mile radius it also killed human beings. And a lot of people were sick. At first, the sickness they thought was radiation, but it wasn't. It was from these sound vibrations. And the Americans now have sound weapons, or sonic weapons, as they call them. They've used them in Afghanistan, they've used them in Iraq, and they've also used them on the American public. How they use them on the American public is they send out sound waves to make people subservient and stop them from rioting. And the first evidence I saw of that was a documentary made by Infowars.com, where they were asking the people of New York what they thought would really happen with the Twin Towers. And there's a massive protest in New York where the American public wanted to know the truth about the Twin Towers. And as they were filming, there were certain vans with like megaphones on top. And these vans and the megaphone on top were these sonic weapons. So they were actually using them on the public there, and it was right in the public's face. I've talked about it a few times with friends and other people, and they go, it's science fiction. We thought it's a science fact. These weapons that they have, they're legal under the Geneva Convention on weaponry. They won't kill you. They can explode your internal organs. Like I said, they can bring buildings down. Now, 1957 was the earliest I can find any substantial evidence. But there are rumours that the Nazis developed weapons that could bring down some of the bombers that were flying over Germany during the war. And again, with all the Nazi scientists, a lot of them went into America. Most famous one is Werner von Braun, who later developed the Apollo rocket for the Americans. I have talked to some colleagues who were mercenaries and are still active in the mercenary business, and they've all confirmed to me that they have used weapons that give out noise or give out a sonic boom. Now, that itself sounds fascinating, but if you think you blow a dog's whistle, you can't hear it, but a dog can, and it comes running to you. What does sound do to you? And that's why I chose music as part of it. Now, research I've done over the last 20 years into music and how it affects people is it becomes a cultural thing. If you go into like Africa, where I was born in Rhodesia, a lot of the African tribes like drumming, and drumming is part of their culture. Drumming's not for everyone, but certain drums will hit notes which affect the chakras on the human body. And if you take say heavy metal music, which is the music I like, it's not for everybody. And what the Americans have discovered is that it can be used as a brainwashing technique. It can also drive people insane. And to date, what we know in the public, in Panama, he surrounded General Noriega's compound, and 24 hours a day they played heavy metal music, which eventually drove the guy crazy and he surrendered. The Americans have used this technique on their own people. At Waco, Texas, they played heavy metal music and Tibetan chanting music. Now, if you look at David Koresh and his followers, they were Christians, or extreme Christians. And most extreme Christians say that heavy metal music is the work of the devil. So to get inside that psychology, you play heavy metal music to them, they're fearing the devil. So it drives them crazy. And that's exactly what happened at Waco. I've also discovered that the Americans have been using music to brainwash people. If you think that's fantasy, walk around the supermarket. Why do they play certain types of music there? And it's to encourage you to buy things. Again, it's brainwashing you. Now, how does all this work? And again, it is a cultural thing. You have 7 major chakras in your body, and certain types of music will hit a certain chakra. If you're compatible with the music you like, you'll feel it in your Daksha chakra, which is round here in your stomach, or your heart chakra in your chest. And if you get the two right, and you're listening to a certain song or a certain type of music, you get the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. And you think, yeah, this is relaxing, this is cool. Now, if you're like me and can't stand jazz music, 5 minutes of that and I'm going insane. I don't understand jazz music, it just throws all my vibrational energy and body functions right out the window. I like rock music, I like heavy metal music, but I also like blues music. Now, for years, blues music was classed as, oh, you can't listen to that. It's the work of the devil. This is what the Christians were saying. But because we live in a Christian-orientated society, they were trying to suppress blues music. Where I was born in Rhodesia, it was banned because they didn't want to see the blacks expressing themselves through blues music. And that's what music is. It's an expression of the soul. If somebody can't talk, they can't express it through music. During the 60s, when the hippie movement was going, music by people like Bob Dylan, Jefferson Airplane, John Baez, it was a platform for protesting. He spoke about the Vietnam War, pull out of Vietnam. Along came people like Dennis O'Leary, who said tune in, drop out. But he said it through the musical artists around at the time. And eventually he came to a big conclusion at Woodstock. And every band who played at Woodstock, in the lyrics, was protesting against the system and what was happening in the world at the time. Now, the authorities tried to suppress all that. If you followed rock music or folk rock music at the time, he was classed as an outcast. And it's still true today, and it always has been. I remember during the 80s, there was bands like Black Sabbath, headed by Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. They all got took to court in America because the right-wing Christian groups were saying, this is the devil's music. And if you put a record on the turntable, play it backwards, it's giving out subliminal messages. As it was proved in court, it was all bullshit. Now, somebody like me, I don't believe God exists, and I don't believe the devil exists. And there is not one shred of evidence to prove that they do exist. Yet in the mind of a Christian, or right-wing Christians, or any other religion, you have the Almighty and you have the devil. So these people think, right, we're pious, we believe in God. You believe in heavy metal music, therefore you're the follower of the devil. And it's like, what? I don't believe in the devil. oh well, the devil's got a grip on you because you're listening to heavy metal music. And it's like, hang on, please explain that to me. Well, listen to the lyrics. And it's like, okay, where does it say we're devil worshippers? Where does it say we're Satanists? They go, it does. So music is an interpretation. You interpret how you want to interpret it. And there's a band called Megadeth. Their first biggest hit was called Peace Sells, but Who's Buying? And if you listen to the lyrics, not once does it mention about Satanism or the devil. It talks about peace. It talks about a system that's in place. But I want to rebel against that system because that system is a load of bollocks. And if I can quote some of the lyrics out of that song, is, what do you mean I talk to God? What do you mean I don't talk to God? I talk to him every day. What do you mean I'm not part of the system? I go to court when I have to. Peace sells, but who is buying? And that is true. Peace is within all of us. But you get people who want to manipulate us, cause trouble, and then the next thing is wars happening. And that's a reality. We were told when we invaded Iraq that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. Where are they? Now, some of the jobs I've been in, like social work, I was a social worker for 13 years. If I made a mistake, I got reprimanded. Why have these politicians like Tony Blair not been reprimanded? Or if it was my son who went to fight in Iraq and got killed there on the premise that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, I personally would take Tony Blair out. And I know a lot of people who want to do that because they've lost sons and daughters in Iraq. So I'm fighting for a cause, but there was no cause. There's a lot of rumours going around exactly what that war was about. But it just goes to show you that people will go to war over stupid things or manipulate people into going to war. So to express that through music, a lot of heavy metal bands have been doing that. We don't want to fight, we want peace. And then the other extreme, right-wing Christian groups are saying this is the devil's music. In my mind, the ones that are dangerous are the right-wing Christians. So, like I said earlier, we live in a Christian-orientated society. And Christianity is responsible for killing the most people over the last 2,000 years. You get somebody called Adolf Hitler who killed 11 million people. That's nothing. In a 10-year period, 50 million American Indians died because Christians believe that any good American Indian, a good Indian, is a dead Indian. Now, where does it say in the Bible that you should kill people? These people are nuts, they're mad. Yet they're trying to control us, or they're trying to control me, and say, the way I live my life is wrong. Yeah, I have killed people in the past when I was a mercenary in the army, but I've changed. I don't want to kill people now. I'd rather preach peace. War should never happen. Why can't people sit down and talk about it and sort the differences out around the table? But they don't want to do that. They want to manipulate us. And the way to manipulate us is to create fear.